So just a few days ago, I walked into the living room and I saw my wife sitting there. She's watching a show on the TV. I don't usually pay a whole lot of attention to the shows my wife watches, but I will stand there for a few moments and observe. And something about it caught my eye. And I said, "What do you want? What is this on?" She said, "Netflix." And I found myself sitting down, and I ended up sitting there the entire episode. I was hooked. Now, what hooked me? Was it the great performances of the actors? Sure. Was it the fact that the story was interesting about a young boy who is accused of murder? Yes, that definitely piqued my interest. Was it interesting to me that the fact that my wife was interested in this very kind of dark story and she was watching it on her own, like of her own choice? And I was like, yes, this is very interesting to me. I want to see what's going on. But what really got my interest was the fact that the longer I watched, the more I came to realize that there are no cuts in the episode. There was no edits. The shot just went on and 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 on. And I was like, what is this? This is a one take episode? Go to the next episode. And on and on and on and on. This show is called Adolescence. It is huge right now. You're watching this video because you probably know about it. Adolescence is taking the world by storm. There's a whole message behind it. It's honestly like a bit depressing, I think, when it comes to young kids and young boys and everything. And it's kind of a dark story with a strong message behind it. It's like a cultural awareness kind of message. What was fascinating to me about this show, however, is the creative choice of saying this is going to be 4 episodes in length. Each episode is going to be one shot, and it's a true one shot. It's actually not any hidden, cuts. All of the actors, including the kids and everything, there's so many kids in one of the episodes that it's just like, how did they pull this off? I was actually watching it and I was thinking, like, I don't see a break. There's a few points I think they could have made a break, but it would be extremely tricky to do it. And these actors are just rolling and rolling. And so I was looking around online. I found this X thread, which takes were chosen for the final episodes. Episode 1, take 2, shot on shoot day 1 of 5. Episode 2 was take 13, shot on shoot day 5 of 5. Episode 3, take 11, shot on shoot day 5 of 5. And then episode 4 was take 16, shot on shoot day 5 of 5. What's interesting to me is like all of these were, take 13, take 11, take 16. These takes, mind you, are an hour in length, just shy of an hour long. The entire episodes are one take. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And to think that like every single shoot day of, out of 5 shoot days for an episode 2, 3, and 4, they were like, yeah, the best takes are on the last day of filming. Probably because they felt like they had it and then the actors did something that was even better. Who knows? But that's just crazy. How interesting is that?
Let's go, Joe. Let's go.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of behind the scenes from the shooting of these episodes, this show. I want to watch a little bit of this.
You see a swan glide gracefully across the water, but its legs are flapping like mad. And that is basically what each one of these episodes are.
Yeah, let's make the call.
Let's go.
They're just handing off the camera. They're coming up with so many different ideas and concepts of getting the camera to move around in the environment. It actually, I'm going to keep watching some more of this, but I wanted to show you this really quickly. The film itself was shot on the DJI Ronin 4D, the 4-axis cinema camera 8K. So what's fascinating about this is a leap in technology, all right? Every time there's a brand new piece of technology, Hollywood sees like, can we use this? Can we not? If we can, how can we get the most creative process? Like, what is the best way we can use this and really blow some people's minds? Hollywood as a whole doesn't do this, but there are certain projects, particularly with certain filmmakers, that choose to dive into the new tech. And this was used on this show because it's DJI's newest version of a cinema camera, but with a built-in, like, I don't know, Brachiosaurus arm that like holds the lens and the camera up here so that it has perfect stabilization. If you're holding the body, it's keeping itself still. You know what I mean? So the stabilization is on a whole nother level. It's like the camera is built in for the stabilization, you know, cinema combo.
With Adolescence being a single shot format, it all runs very differently to normal. It took a few weeks to really understand that it was only one camera moving through space, that there was no cuts, and that whatever was shot is the episode.
I have a warrant to search your premises, sir. Where's your son? Where's your son?
He's in his bedroom.
Where is he? You kind of feel like you're in a theatre space more than a TV space. Once the train starts moving, no one can stop it. Do you know what I mean? Mr. Miller, I will arrest you for obstruction. Please stop. Please. I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder. Do you understand?
Dad, I haven't done anything!
Adolescence is not a whodunit, it's a whydunit. How did this boy end up in this place?
Your son, he's been arrested on suspicion of murder.
And this started with a phone call from Stephen saying, how do we tell that story in 4 one-hour shots?
4 1-hour shots.
I always wanted to tell a tale over a long time span, but not do it the way normal chronological stories work.
Jay, don't say nothing.
That was the idea of spanning it across 13 months, but dipping in and out.
And so we quickly worked out we're going to do the arrest, we're going to do school, then we're going to spend some time with Jamie, and then we're going to spend some time with the family.
When I came in and found my wife watching this, she watches films and shows passively, which really, it's hilarious to me. And I'm sure this is like many couples deal with this, but I was so frustrated because I asked her, I was like, when I sat down, I was like, how long have they been on this one take? And she was like, what? And I said, how long have they been doing one take? Like, this is a really long scene. When have they cut? And she was like, I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I'm like, well, you're watching the show. Are you not paying attention? No, it went right over her head. It didn't even register to her that we haven't cut in the episode. She was just following along, you know, seamlessly.
Tell me when we can see me son.
Not long, Mr. Miller, all right.
It could happen to anybody, you know what I mean? We thought it'd be interesting to shine a light on the devastation that causes, you know, the ripple effect that has on everybody.
I'm going to skip ahead to a little bit because I want to see how they did like this one particular running scene. I previewed this earlier and this really blew my mind. So check this out, how they did a kind of a new take on using a Steadicam and a drone combo. It's really awesome how they did this. Check this out.
Literally walking through scene by scene.
Shall we pop inside?
We're going to be going through it a lot, over and over again. Then it becomes muscle memory, you know? Then we do the tech rehearsal with all the crew.
That week, you know, we put a lens on it, we start moving through the space, we start realizing what doesn't work, kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back a little bit.
It's good that they happen now, talks. And look, we're all doing it without our script already anyway.
And then the last week, we get 10 chances, 2 a day at shooting 1 take.
2 a day.
Jane, this is a huge loss, love. We'll arrange for somebody for you to have a chat.
Not
to.
another shrink.
No, it's not a shrink. It's just
No,
somebody
no,
for you
fuck
to talk
that.
to. Please, Jane.
Are you serious?
No, you can't go back to class. You know you can't.
When I first read the script, it blew my mind. Like, it felt like I just knew all these characters and I could visualize the whole thing.
Let's have a word with Ryan.
The collaboration on this show, a lot of it was technical.
Yo.
But the surprising thing...
Did you see that? Let's check that out again. How did they do that? Glass in that window? Look at that. It looks like that window is closed. See, you see the dust on it. Is that fake? Because we just passed right through it. That has to be fake. That has to be fake dirt, like a fake window was put there. It has to, like that. That's not that. That was fake. It was animation after. It was some kind of visual effect, right?
was technical, but the surprising thing was using technical to free us.
Action!
I'd written in this chase sequence, and this chase sequence took Bascom and this boy beside the murder site, and then the camera was going to travel back on its own back to the school.
That moment would have felt almost like a video game walking down the street. I think it would just take the audience away from what the piece is.
Okay, so they're basically saying that this one scene, they were going to, have the boy running. They had a whole bunch of choreography, both for him and for the camera movements. And then it was going to leave the boy, and then the camera was going to go back to the school. And they're saying that felt almost like first-person video game a little bit. So then they come up with this idea. Check this out.
And then Phil called me up and he said, Matt and I think we found a way to make the camera fly.
Watch it.
If
This is
the camera
nuts.
could float away by itself, then it couldn't possibly be attached to a person. It kind of feels more ethereal.
So you've got Baskin finding his own sort of resolution, and you're with this character Jade, whose heart is pulled out, and you're with all these kids as they pull out their phones, and then the camera takes off. And the camera comes to rest at the murder site. It was an
You
example
see
of
that?
the technical meeting the story and finding a fusion which is actually better than anything that the story had come up with on its own.
One-shot movies are not like uncommon. And it shouldn't necessarily be mind-blowing, but I think when it comes to coming up with combining story and one-shot, how do they motivate each other, right? And I think it's super valuable to take a look at, the technology of ease to create one-shot films or episodes in a series is evolving. And with all the evolution of the technology, you can come up with new ways, or you have other speed bumps that you have to overcome. If you look at, all of the one-take films, there's always been stitching together, right? They would stitch together, there'd be a breaking point, because you can't truly tell an entire feature film with all these different, settings, all these different landscapes, and it be truly a one-shot film. But what's cool with this is it's like, all right, if we could just make it through an hour, if we could just do a one-shot for an hour, and we can tell a series of hour-long one-shots, right? In this case, 4, then it allows us to actually tell an expanded story, because at the end of one episode, we can move to a new setting and practice and new characters and a new time frame. And it actually opens up the possibility of what you can do telling stories visually. And if productions like this can do it, and I know there's like a lot more people working on it, I'm super interested to see what the indie market can do with technology like this. Like, this camera is, if you have a little budget, if you have a budget of, 20 grand for like an indie short or something, or even not that much, you could actually probably rent this camera for a lot cheaper. You can buy this camera outright and the gimbal and everything for $12,000, almost $13,000, which is still very steep for most people. But if you rent it for your production, well, you could at least do like some really awesome, like long takes in your film, or entire short films in one take. I think it would be super valuable for indie filmmakers to try it, to stay on top of new technology, to see how creatives in productions like Adolescence are doing it, and try to study their processes, try to see how they structured production to accomplish it, to give themselves as many takes as they needed. And then what's interesting with this production is it seems like the majority of the takes, even though they did 10 takes for every episode, the majority of the takes were actually towards the end. So if you can give yourself as many takes as possible, it's probably going to be like, in a scenario like this, you're going to like the performance, or something's going to happen where after you've gone through it so many times, the last couple ones are probably the best to use. Have you guys seen this series? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see what you think of the story. I hear there's like a little bit of controversy around it. There's some people that don't like it. I don't know. I'm not diving into all that too deep. I'm not like a super fan of the show. I'm just super intrigued by the production